Welcome to the Goon Squad First 40. I am Puma along with Black Thor and Ice Water. We do the first 40 on YouTube, so subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And then we do our 90-minute overtime show on Goon Squad Sports podcast on Blog Talk Radio. But before we start talking about sports, Ice Water is representing a company, a cognac company I'm very excited about. And so I want him to talk about it and then show that pretty bottle that you have.
You something else, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, I on the side, I guess I do marketing, and one of the clients that we have have come out with a great new product. Of course, it is Black History Month, and what makes this ironic is the founder of this particular company and this product is African American. Went to a historically Black college, Knoxville College. His name is Rayshawn Lowe, and his company is Low Imports LLC. And what's ironic about this is this product I'm about to show you here in a minute. He has come up with, after a night of drinking with his fraternity brothers back in the day, about 10 years ago, they were drinking cognac. And more than likely, when you saw the cognac, you probably were thinking they were drinking Hennessy, because that's what normally everybody does. That's what it was. And Hennessy has done great things in the African American community. And for over the years, they were the first ones actually to have ads in Jet and Ebony and using African Americans. So they've done a lot, even when the soldiers back in the day in the war, that's how African Americans a lot of times found out about cognac through their travels overseas. But with all that being said, this new product, though, there's always room at the end, as you say, for more. And this is a great new product. Mr. Lowe, 10 years ago, did some research and found out at that point there were no African Americans who had a brand, their own brand of cognac. And he decided he wanted to do something about that when he had had this endeavor with his friends, when he wanted to engage with his friends in drinking and in the spirits. So that being said, he created his own cognac. He went to France, created his own cognac, and now it's just being released in the States. It's been about a month now. And first, we'll show you, it's called Rayon, Rayon, Cognac XO. And for those that know, you have Hennessy VS, you have the VSOP. This is an XO, which means it's extra old, which means it's a little bit more aged, and the taste is a lot smoother. So with that being said, we'll search for you. First, show you the beautiful little box that it comes in. See there. And then we will proceed to open the box and show you the bottle of cognac.
Can't wait to taste it, man. It looks smooth. I love smooth cognac.
Oh, brother. XO, brother.
You already tasted it.
Oh, but but we wanted to show you the unopened bottle, so you know that we're not. You saw the Hennessy was open.
Yeah.
We want to show you we want to show you the unopened bottle here, and just let you know too that, like I said, it's just a great new venture for a brother that's trying to do some things, and there's a lot of room for us to start to do our own things, and that's what we're trying to do, is just share this with people, for those that indulge, and let them know about it. Like I said, we've been marketing it for about a month and a half now. People can check it out at www.loweimportsllc.com. Again, loweimportsllc.com, and check it out. I mean, we spend so much time with other people that I'm the first one that would say even if I wasn't doing this, I would be supporting our folks. Other communities do it all the time.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And I'm definitely going to try to get about. I know Dawn Dance is going to be extra special this year. That cognac that you're bringing to Dawn Dance. Let's kick right into sports. The NBA eye test, Blackest NBA weekend here in Chicago. A snowstorm is coming, and a bunch of NBA players are coming, and a bunch of groupies are here.
That's what I want to hear.
Give me your eye test on the NBA, bro.
I'm saying this, bro. You in Chicago, so next week we want to report on the groupies, bro. Next week that's what I want to report on, bro. I don't want to report on the game. You know how the All-Star game is anyway. Slam dunk contest ain't what it used to be. Let's talk groupies. We're gonna talk groupies. The NBA is interesting, man. It's the East has really started to come alive. I mean, look what Butler's doing down in Miami. Indianapolis is playing some really good basketball. At home, the Sixers got their act together. They're doing some things at home, but Milwaukee's still going to run away with it. So the East, man, really, I don't know if it's because LeBron left, but I think basically teams are just really starting to resurge, starting to come along. But the East is starting to do very well. I like what happened at the trade deadline with Golden State. I know they got rid of the guard, but Golden State's, they're kind of planning for their future with some draft picks. And I don't think they're done yet, man. I just don't think Golden State is done. My son pointed out something to me that I didn't realize, man, that even though the Lakers has a good record, they lose to a lot of good teams, bro. They're not beating a lot of good teams. They lose to a lot of bad teams. So that's a lot of fluff right there, bro. That's going to start to come down. And I don't know if we had this conversation or not, but how did the Lakers lose to the Rockets that night? When the Rockets basically have no big men, nobody playing in the middle, and they lost to the Rockets. Come on, bro. What's Anthony Davis and those big cats doing, man? But I'm going to leave you on this, man. The big rumor is that your boy Towns is coming to the Knicks next year, man. That's the big rumor that his agent is probably going to take over and be the new president of the New York Knicks, I guess I could say that. And his first thing, his first thing is, when his contract is up, or if you're going to trade and bring him to New York, you thought the Knicks was bad in the past, man. Wait till he puts on a Knicks uniform.
So what team you gonna pick now? You gonna give us the Knicks. So what team you gonna pick now?
I'm trying to find a local little AAE team. I'm trying to follow them, man. AAU or something, bro. I'm gonna find them and I'm gonna start traveling with them and follow them, bro.
Ice Water, I know you said that you didn't want your boy. You thought that Golden State would make is making a big mistake in getting rid of D'Angelo Russell because he was balling out in Golden State. Yet they weren't really winning. Give me your eye test and what are your thoughts about the trade that Golden State made to get Wiggins and give up D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah, let's start right there in Golden State. And I understand it wasn't a fit because there was too many of the same type players at that position. I get that. But I look at it, sometimes you have to have certain players that can play the game. You can have better fits at forward, and it makes logical sense to grab Wiggins. They can get Wiggins tuned up. He's more of a small forward. D'Angelo is more of a ball-dominant guard. So to bring him back with Clay and them, it doesn't work. But I don't know. I kind of beg to differ. I think I'd be looking at it a little differently because he can play. He can play the game. So he moved to Minnesota, and Golden State has what they have. They're going to teach, hopefully, Wiggins how to play championship basketball. I don't think that's something that he has had throughout his career. And I think that it might help him down the line because now you're playing with guys who have rings. You're playing with Steve Kerr, a guy that understands. He's not just going to say, all right, go out there and just do what you do because you're so great athletically, which seems to be the case for me anyway, what was happening for him in Minnesota. So you go to a team, they command respect because they have the rings. And if you don't want to respect them, then they can trade you and get rid of you. They've already proven themselves. So I think that's going to be dynamite for Wiggins making that move. But for D'Angelo Russell, he's a player, man. I said that from the beginning. Black Thor, you had to worry about it. Now that D'Angelo Russell's up there, the big category is not going anywhere, bro. Anytime you go to the airport, wait on the plane outside in the cold with the man's jersey, I don't think he's not going anywhere, bro.
I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah, I mean, and they might prove you wrong because one thing I do like about this trade is the chemistry. These two guys want to play together. They're friends, and you get to play with your friend and try to ball out. And they've had some other guys that are coming along. So I think that they're going to be all right. They're young, and it's the way to go. They've been trying to another way with getting older veterans and whatnot for the longest time. Hasn't worked. Now you have some time with D'Angelo and the Big Cat and maybe some other guys that can play and move forward. So I like it for both teams. I understand it. And D'Angelo Russell says for the first time he really felt like a team wanted him.
Wow.
You know, and you can say that because he was immature or whatever. And everybody can say, oh, you wasn't playing on the phone. I still blame Byron Scott for that BS. Sometimes you got to be a grown man and correct children. He was a child at the time. But Byron Scott just want to say he was just out of control. Hell, he was 18, 19. What'd you expect? Anyway, we're going to move on off that. Byron Scott, because you know the Lakers did take you in when you were young as hell too. Do we forget when you got traded for Norm Nixon? Anyway, I can go all day on that. Somebody grabbed you and pulled you in. They can just throw you away. But on the other side, when you're looking at the rest of the league, it's so many different things happening right now. You don't know what's going on. One night, Philly beats the Clippers. The next night, Minnesota beats the Clippers. The night before that, Portland will beat Miami. It's all over the place. New Orleans will beat Portland. It's all over the place. But I think Milwaukee's playing really good ball, as you mentioned before. I still think it's going to be really tight all the way around. I know you love Milwaukee, and I was hoping, just hoping tonight that that your boy was playing. Your favorite player of all time was playing for Milwaukee, but he's not.
No,
And you know who they playing? They're playing the Indiana Pacers. I told you watch out for the Pacers. So I don't know what the score is. Maybe you can tell me. I'm not looking at the TV.
77-58.
Who's winning?
The Pacers.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
Huh?
I know the Pacers haven't really been doing too well since Oladipo came back. I think they're like 1-5 since he came back. So I guess they're still making the adjustments there.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to what Black said earlier about the Lakers. It seems like the Lakers spent so much of their resources trying to get Anthony Davis that they really don't have any kind of trade. They can't bargain with trades because every time a player comes up, the Clippers will snatch him before the Lakers can even try to put a player up or draft picks or whatever. What are your thoughts about that? The Lakers looks like the cupboards are bare, and this is all they're going to have going into the playoffs. And I'm not sure they can come out the playoffs unscathed.
Is that for me or for?
You can go ahead, bro.
It's interesting to me. I think the Lakers are one and done, bro. I think they're one and done because I think after this year, they put everything in the game. You're right, Anthony Davis and pushing all their chips in the front of the table. Anthony Davis decided to leave after this year. That franchise is gonna be set back for a good 5 years, bro. 5 years because people wanted Kuzma. I thought they might have got rid of him, but they didn't. But you're right. There's nothing really there. You got Dwight Howard. You got a bunch of other older players, man. They have to get it done this year. They have to get it done. And let's just not. I mean, with all this age, I think they're very prone to an injury. Very prone. So it's gonna be interesting to see, bro. At this second part of the season, after All-Star get in, because you know what? Usually, I don't know about this current NBA, but usually after this All-Star game, teams kind of elevate their play. Yeah. They play harder. They play more physical. They play for a purpose. And it's going to be interesting to see down the stretch how the Lakers play that, man, because if one of those players get hurt, let's say Anthony Davis decide to miss 3 weeks. He's not, that's what he usually does anyway, some part of the season. He goes down for 3 weeks. That's going to put more pressure on LeBron. And at some point, man, I think, too, I'm going to throw this out there, that Kobe situation is going to start to drain them a little bit emotionally, I believe. And I just don't see them making it, bro. I just don't see them making it. But they got an interesting game tonight because they're playing Denver tonight. I want to see how Denver stands up to a man-to-man and how they play him.
Yeah, Ice, LeBron's 35, 36 years old. I was thinking the same thing as Black. If one of those two get injured, I mean, their Lakers are pretty much done. They kind of just put all their eggs in the basket to get Anthony Davis. And I think we talked about it weeks ago. I know Black has brought it up that after this year, Anthony Davis is still a free agent, so he can go anywhere he wants. What do you think about the Lakers? It seems like they don't have any bargaining chips as far as getting players to the LA Lakers to help them win a championship this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly on that. But sometimes you just got to play with the hand that you dealt. That's what they wanted. They wanted Anthony Davis last year. They didn't have Anthony Davis. They had a bunch of other guys that they were trying to figure it out. So now you have two legitimate superstars, and you hope somebody steps up to the plate. Does that mean they're going to win? I don't think they're going to win the championship, but you can't whine and cry about it. You just got to play. You mentioned about Anthony Davis becoming free. He will be a free agent, but I think as long as LeBron stays there, he's going to stay. And the reason why I say that is because I think that as long as LeBron is healthy, what I mean by I can see Anthony Davis signing maybe a one-year contract to do that so he can move on. That's what LeBron James has created. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but he created with the short-term contracts. 2 years here, 1 year here, and you said, we're going to give it one more time, doesn't work, they don't want to bounce somewhere else. It's the freedom, and that's what a lot of people don't like. But I think they have to work on a lot of things. They do need some help, or they're going to need some guys to do some wonderful things that have not done it so far, and I think that's going to be their shortcoming. And I think when you look at the Clippers, that's why the Clippers picking up somebody like Marcus Morris Sr., just another guy that plays D, man. I mean, They're losing games now in the regular season. People are pointing to that. But it really doesn't matter. I tell you that all the time. You can be number one seed all day long. But what are you going to do in the postseason? What are you going to do? And one thing the Clippers are going to do is play defense. As long as they stay healthy, they have a boatload of talent. And I think that's where a team like Miami got better. I know you had Jimmy Butler doing his thing, but you also now have Iguodala. But then you have Kelly Olynyk, formerly of Boston, that's playing strong as hell. He's just a dog. Talk about dogs. Those are two dogs. Iguodala, Kelly Olynyk, two dogs. And the other dog, nobody's talking about it, which is the secret piece to me in that trade, the link, was Jay Crowder. He's a monster. He is a monster. He's been, they had their starting small forward that's been hurt lately for Miami, and he's just fitting right in. And when you get guys that play defense, can play the half court well, and are unselfish, and have some experience in playing in the postseason, that's hard to beat, man. So, I mean, Philly looked good. They've won a couple little games, but like I said, we're gonna find out because when the pressure bust pipes, and when it gets hot, we're gonna find out who's real. And I cannot wait. Because I'm so tired of this little rap. I'm so glad this little All-Star game will be over with, this little break. And let's get to the business. And so we can find out who's for real and who's not.
Real cool. If you don't mind, I like that real quick, man. Surprise to me, I forgot to mention about the East. Toronto Raptors are playing some very good ball,
just about to mention them. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Very good ball without Kawhi. And it makes, I'm happy with Kawhi made the move, but imagine you would have stayed there this year, bro. That team, it's like they've grown, man, without him. Another team here, real quick, the Pelicans. They may not make much noise this year. I know we're talking about Zion this week. That young man is balling in the NBA, bro. It's like he's out there playing at a playground doing what he needs to get done. I'm sorry, he's putting the work in.
Yeah, we're going to talk some more NBA in our overtime on Blog Talk Radio, but let's get to NCAA basketball. Just watched the game with Crichton and Seton Hall, and I was really upset. I was ready to call my dad at the North Carolina-Duke game, and North Carolina did everything they could to lose that game against Duke, missing free throws, turnovers, you name it, they did it. They're depleted, but Duke popped North Carolina and also popped Florida State this weekend. Had a chance to watch San Diego State University, and they won their conference last night. There's a player by the name of Matt Mitchell who can do everything on the court. A lot of people are saying they're ranked number 4, but a lot of people are saying that they might not get that number 1 seed, but I think that team is for real. You have Obi Toppin from Dayton. He's balling. He beat his little brother last night. He played for Rhode Island. You have Quigley and Higgins, which I found out that one of my buddies at school buddies, Brian Higgins, is his cousin, his cousin's son, who's playing for Kentucky. And Azubuike, growing a pair, Ice. He's growing a pair, and he's playing a hard-nosed basketball. He actually leads the country in field goal percentage at about 76%. I'm watching currently Marquette against Villanova with Marcus Howard, who's leading the league, leading the college basketball or the country with 27.4 points a game. He reminds me of Steph Curry. But my guy is Miles Powell. I'm not going to talk about him this week because I talk about him every week. But give me your eye test, Ice, of college basketball. Baylor remains number 1, and Michigan State is out of the top 25.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, you see all kinds of different teams here and there. You saw where the Illinois got upset the other night, or actually they got upset the other night. So the Big Ten is down. Ohio State can't find their way. They win 3 games, lose 2. You mentioned about Duke, North Carolina. Teams we expect to be up there and making runs, and it's rough. It's rough. You see teams like Penn State. You see Oregon. You see Arizona. You mentioned Creighton, Seton Hall. There's a lot of good teams. You see a team, I think, tonight that was it Butler? The Butler won tonight, or they got Butler won? They upset somebody?
I can check.
Okay, but the point of it is the parity. When you look at these teams, even when you talk about Oregon and Baylor, there's no dominant team. It's not a team you look at and go, man, that team right there is amazing. You go, wow, because they could next week they get beat. And again, I know you hate to hear this, but keep trying to tell you, Black Thor, you need to write this down. I know you listening because I can see you. You need to write this down. Play me slow if you want to. Them damn Louisville Cardinals. I'm trying to tell you.
You know
The
what?
Louisville,
I gotta see Louisville. I gotta see Louisville because their coach sometimes
oh my
just
God.
go
You've been
ahead.
trying to get that man fired since he got there. You are the same man that said as a Boogie was weak as hell. Now you praising him this week. What we
Hey,
doing?
he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing. He grew up here since the last time I talked about him, and he's doing his thing. I can't go against him. He's leading the country in field goal percentage at 75 or 76%. Can't argue with that. And Black, me and Ice have decided when we talked on the podcast that we're not giving you no hits this year for March Madness. What's your
You just got
You know what? I looked at the calendar. I said, man, it's February. I better start watching college basketball because these cats right here, man, that's all they do, folks. All weekend long, they making notes. They're this, and we still gonna come in third place, bro. You still gonna come in third place, man. Every year, this is what we do. Y'all can say what you want, but you know when it comes to March Madness, I'm gonna be ready, baby. I'm gonna be ready. I watched Baylor the other night. I really was. I know they know. I wasn't impressed. I just wasn't impressed with
You
Baylor.
weren't impressed with Baylor?
No, I wasn't, man. I just wasn't. I mean, I like the fact that, like I said, it's parity. Looking at some of these teams, at some point, Florida State, you got to step up and beat Duke. Don't play in tight and always find a way to lose.
Yeah.
I want to see Florida State take that step and get past Duke. Duke is going to find a way to beat them. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think they're going to find a way to be there when it's kind of get close. I was very surprised that Michigan State is nowhere to be found in the top 25. That's kind of shocking to me. Texas, looking at them a little bit, I'm going to throw this out there, not as a question, just kind of a statement in a sense. How much longer are they going to put up with Shaka at Texas? Because, I mean, it seemed like he can't recruit. You don't have the players. And I'm looking at this cat saying, man, if he'd have stayed at VCU, maybe took another school, who knows what he could be doing. But it's like he's a lost character out there now. So as I start to watch more and see more, I'm not surprised Oregon is doing well. There was a good team last year. Louisville, I'm not buying it, Ice. You keep pushing it out there and keep saying it. I'm not buying it. Come with something next week. Maybe I'll listen. But right now, I'm starting to watch a little bit of college basketball. So y'all may want to get ready. The second or first place always see my spot when it comes down to March Madness. Always second or first. What you got?
Notice he said nothing about football this year, didn't he?
Football next year. This is a new year, baby. New year. Shoot, I'm gonna start dating some young girls like Pops. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with him. He was like, you better get a Valentine. You better get a Valentine.
Oh, man.
With his silk robe and his ascot, and it smells good. All right. I'm going to stick with you, Black, with this one. UConn, they drop another one. They drop a game to South Carolina. I'm glad for Dawn Stanley. You had Gino on the television kind of screaming at reporters saying we're allowed to lose. But I remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago, people were saying that UConn was bad for women's basketball. They were dominating.
I remember that.
Saying, hey, the teams need to get better. And here we are. The teams are getting better, and they're not taking a second seat or a back seat to UConn. What happened, man?
I think the landscape has basically caught up with UConn. They got tired of being afraid of UConn. They've gotten better. And it's good to see, man. I was happy to see what's name lose that reporters, because he always had that arrogance, cockiness about him. But I think other teams have caught on. I think they've paid attention to UConn. But I think the biggest thing now is teams are not afraid to play UConn anymore. They're just not. They're looking to kind of put UConn down and beat them. I think that confidence alone that a lot of teams are coming to play UConn with and taking on the road is starting to pay dividends, bro. They're just not afraid of them anymore. So when you can step on the court and not be afraid, and these players aren't fighting, these young ladies aren't fighting here to get to UConn anymore like they used to, yes, it's their time. I don't think they're going to reign that supreme anymore. They had a very good run, a very strong run. But I think that the dominance they had for some years may be over.
All right, Ice. We talked about it last week. One of the questions was, is Gino losing it? And now they lost another game by, I believe, 18 points to number 1 South Carolina. Congrats to Dawn Stanley. The first win over UConn in a long, long time. What happened? What's happening?
Well, I think Blackthorn touched on it. The factor that the talent has been spread out too, so everybody's not running UConn like they were before. And usually, what Gino has is the ability to have kind of like that glazed over that group of team, that group of players that kind of holds you up where you're supposed to be for a minute, and then he uses an infusion of freshmen to come in to kind of, bridge the gap to make them decent. And right now they're quite young. I mean, they have I think it's a senior point guard in Dangerfield who's really serious. She's a real baller. Last night she had 28, her career high, but it wasn't enough. And sometimes these players just the recruits do not respond well to what he's teaching, and anybody can be beat. I mean, like you mentioned, they had a nice run. Nobody's invincible. You have waves, ups and downs. Baylor for a while when they had with the big girl, and they still found ways to get it done. Notre Dame had a nice little run. But the one thing I think people are pointing at is, you think about this, if they drop, and I think they will, the UConn Huskies are going to fall out the top 5 for the first time since 2007. You do the math. 2007. That's how long they've been running, being in the top 5. So if they fall off, it's okay. He will find a way to be back, because he's not going to be sitting in there and be complacent when they're just average. He'll quit first.
I want to hold on to that thought. I'm going to stay with you on this one. Does it matter whether or not they're a number 1 seed or not going into the tournament? Because they're going to make the tournament. Does it matter if they're a number 1 seed or not?
I don't think so. I mean, the part about the number 1 seed, I think there would be more pressure on them. And the problem with what's happening right now, they just literally need to continue to develop chemistry and get better. That's what that is. If they're the number 1 seed, it might be worse for them, because if they're not as good as people think, then, like, not saying South Carolina's not any good, but teams are going to be gunning for them even more, just because of the fact they're in that seed. So if I was him, not saying you want to lose, I prefer to be off the radar a little bit and work our way up, one game at a time in the tournament, and see what the hell happens.
Black, does it matter if UConn gets the number 1 seed or not?
I think for them it does. I do, because usually when they get the number 1 seed, they play up here. They play up in Storrs somewhere. They get a comfortable, good seeding for the first good part of the run. And if they got to go play elsewhere, and here again, teams are not fearing them, I don't think they're going to make it through, bro. So for them, I think it does. I think that's what they're used to. And I think, too, when they're here, they still have that mystique some. They still have that some, just a little bit, especially when bracket time comes. They don't have that. It's going to be a little rough. It's going to be a little rough. You think he's cussing now, he's upset now. Let's see you get a low seed and get bounced out of the tournament early. You probably throw a tantrum right on the – you throw a tantrum before the game is over.
Puma.
Go ahead.
That's the Connecticut native. That just equates to they're going to get more calls. Anyway.
Yeah, because me and my dad was talking about, because he follows college women's basketball just like he follows college men basketball. And I was ready to call him to brag about the North Carolina victory, but it just didn't happen against Duke. But he was saying the same thing, that that he's not sure what UConn basketball is going right now with these 2 losses to the top teams. And so we were talking about, we talked about years ago about how they were so dominant. They were supposed to be bad for women's college basketball because they were just beating everybody. But now everybody seems to have caught up, and I think it's a good thing. You see more parity both on the men and women's side. And I'm so happy for Dawn Stanley, because she's been fighting for a long time to get the respectability in college women's basketball. And I think she's respected, but I thought this was a great win for her. One question I wanted to ask, I'm going to go back to basketball, and I want to talk to Black, because you had Stout talking on ESPN about the Knicks are making a coaching move. So is it going to be Tibbs or Van Gundy? Nobody's talking Mark Jackson. It's going to be Tibbs or Van Gundy. When I saw that, I just closed my computer up, because they had a picture of Thibodeau and Van Gundy, and I'm like, why would they go back to Van Gundy? Why would they go back to Van Gundy?
It's interesting. I saw some of that article. I read some of the article, and I didn't even know he said that, man, that that the Knicks might go back to Van Gundy. And I don't even think Tibbs should be coaching anymore in the league, bro. I really do. I think he had a nice stint in Chicago, but you can't bring back Van Gundy as a Knicks fan. I don't even know as a Knicks team, I don't know if the Knicks fans will even rally behind Van Gundy, man. He's been on TV for a while. let's be honest, he kind of basically came in on Pat Riley's heels. He did a little something. He went down to Houston and showed he's not much of a head coach. He's just not. But more than that, Van Gundy, these young players are not going to relate to him. They're going to relate to Tibbs. You got to find a coach, man. You might have to venture off and do something off the radar. You got to find a coach that can motivate these young players they're going to pay attention to and ball for. And it's not Van Gundy. It's not Tibbs. It's just not, man. It really isn't. So it just shows you, again, that the Knicks really don't have a clue what they're doing. But, you know, I think you posted something the other day, man. They're one of the top grossing franchises out there. I keep saying this. I keep saying this for James Dolan. If he could look at that account and see 4.3 bill, bro, he'll put what's the name, Captain Marvel out there and let him coach, bro. He doesn't care. He just doesn't care, and that's the problem with the Knicks. As long as the fans keep going and making that 4.3 billion, that's what it comes down to. But yeah, you can't bring Van Gundy back, man. Mark Jackson, I mean, I know he's a fan favorite of yours, bro. I'm tired of sitting on television, and I hate to kind of say this. I think Mark Jackson is done as coaching the NBA, bro. And it's not that he can't coach. I think the way he kind of, when he left Golden State, where he kind of basically had a run-in with Jerry West, I'm not saying a verbal run-in, but where that kind of ended, I think he's done, man. And I think he's done. This is my personal opinion. I don't think teams are considering him. I don't think general managers, I don't think owners, in a sense, are going to allow him to kind of step in and down and be a head coach.
All right, I know we want to talk about the Knicks, so I'm going to talk about college football for a bit. Michigan State, they grabbed the Colorado coach, and at first he said, hey, I don't want to coach, and now he's taking the job at Michigan State. Will Colorado go with Bieniemy, and will that be a step down or something that he needs to kind of consider?
Well, I'm not. It might be considered a step down for Bieniemy, but it depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to prove that he can be a head coach, he can move forward with that. And unfortunately, the NFL is just not giving him the looks he deserves, and he's proven that if nothing else, he can play. He can make the right play calls. So, if I was Colorado, I would definitely go after him. I would find out if he was interested and move forward with him. Mel Tucker, a lot of people don't know. Mel Tucker's been all over the board.
Yeah.
You know, he was under Nick Saban for a while at Alabama. He was at Ohio State University, so he has a lot of experience as far as an assistant. People might question what he's going to do as a head coach. They were not great at Colorado, but the one thing he can do, he can recruit.
Yeah.
He can recruit, and more than anything, Michigan State needs that right now. And he also knows the Big Ten, having been there a number of years over that province. So they could have done a lot worse. I know they were looking at Luke Fickell from Cincinnati. He turned it down after, I think, taking a plane ride. But they had to start somewhere. And at least, nothing else, Mel Tucker can recruit, and he knows what the Big Ten is like because he's been around in that atmosphere.
Black, they doubled the salary of what Colorado was offering, and he's like, hey, I'll take it. Should Bieniemy kind of consider coaching and being a head coach at Colorado, his alma mater?
A lot of people may not like what I'm getting ready to say, bro, but I feel it, so I say what I feel. No, he should not take it. Bieniemy needs basically an overall change of who he basically is, in a sense. I look at him sometimes in the sideline. It's nothing against it, bro, but he got his hat on slouched. He looks like he's like a cat that you could sit in the bar and have a drink with. He's got to change that image, bro. He's got to basically go into these offices. He's got to go to these owners' office. They're having this interview, and he's got to sell himself. Not only that, he's got to sell himself at all times. At all times, he's got to get behind microphones. He got to get on these shows. Look, I need to be a head coach and sell himself. He's got to hit the payment hard in the NFL and make them embarrassed at the mere fact he's not a head coach, bro. Don't run to college and take money to be coaching college football. He can be a very good head football coach, but we already know the strike against him, he's black. Let's not act like that doesn't exist. But to counter that, he's got work to do. They're just not going to look at the fact because you just helped win a Super Bowl, yeah, automatically make a head coach. But you got to make them feel like if they don't hire you, it's their big mistake. And at some point, man, his agent has to make him see that. It's just my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. Because when I look at him, he doesn't present to me, if I was an owner, and most of them are white, you want this guy running your organization, and that's what he's got to be able to sell. A lot of people may not like that and say, why he has to do that? Sometimes you got to play the game to get the points, bro. He's got to play the game differently.
Okay. I haven't thought about this up until recently. I was watching MMA last weekend and some boxing last weekend, and I'm gonna go with you first on this. We got about 4 minutes left, Ice. They're talking about having scoring after every round, which I think is a great idea. It lets the boxers know where they are. It lets us as the public know what the judges are really thinking about and what they're seeing or not seeing in these fights. Would you be opposed in MMA fights and in boxing that after every round, the judges put up their scores on the scoreboard to let you know who's winning the fight and who won each round?
No, I wouldn't be opposed to it. That's what they want to do, but I don't know what difference it's gonna make, because if they're wrong, they're still wrong. So, I mean, is there more pressure on them to do certain things? I don't know. I can see it one way or the other. I still think if they're a bad referee, they're a bad referee.
Yeah, because we're going to talk some MMA and boxing and in the 90 minutes later. But there were some bad decisions in UFC last week and in boxing. And so I think that if a fighter black sees that, hey, I'm behind on points and I may need a knockout in the championship rounds, I think me looking at that scoreboard, seeing that I'm behind, that will put like a fire under my butt to go out there and handle my business and try to win a fight. What are your thoughts about them posting up the score and their scores every round?
I'm not sure about UFC, but I think boxing needs it to legitimize itself. They really do. I mean, Ice is right. You still have bad refereeing, but at least you can see, immediately what clown is not giving the score you think it should be given. And I think you go one step further. At the end of the bout, have these cats get to a microphone and explain why the score they gave. If you want to really legitimize the sport and act like it's not slanted, that's what you do. Show the scoring, and at the end, let them do a little press conference and say, hey, I scored this way, I scored this that way. And then as an audience, we're more well-informed. We understand, okay, you might have to agree with it, but at least we understand it. So I think for boxing, it needs to be done. It needs to be done tonight. It just legitimizes it. It really does, because there's a lot of people that feel like I do. No matter what you feel or what you see, the end ain't going to be what you believe it's going to be.
Yeah. All right, we got less than a minute and a half left. So we're going to sign off right here. Catch us on our podcast on Blog Talk Radio, the Goon Squad Sports Radio podcast. Also, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, The First 40 with the Goon Squad. For me, Ice, and Black, we will see you next week. Take care.
Get that report, bro. Get that report done.
Black Thor, where you at, boy? Look, hey.
Get that report done.
Hey, Black Thor, you better start putting some notes down, man, because ain't nobody helping you this year, bro.
You may want to put that bottle down that was half open, bro. I'm watching basketball.
Hey, you know what?
Ain't gonna help you win this year, bro. Ain't gonna help you win. I'm telling you now. Put it down.
Hey, this ain't the AFL, brother. Whatever the hell I was watching.
Oh, we ain't even gonna talk. We ain't gonna mention that.
Thank you.
We're not gonna mention that.
Please.
We're not even gonna mention that. No airtime for them.
Hey, Puma.
Yeah.
You know what? You ain't gonna be no 3-time champion in this bullshit.
Later.